Neon flickered through the rain-slicked alleys, reflecting off shattered glass and rusted steel. The city was alive in its decay, Hyperion Metropolis, a maze of broken dreams stacked between corporate towers that scraped the sky. Beneath the glow of holographic billboards, Zane Arkwright moved like a shadow. He had spent the last 5 years unraveling the digital leashes the Evercore syndicate had fastened around the people, and now they had found him. There were no courts. No laws. Only corporate sovereignty, and Evercore ruled it all: energy, finance, medicine, surveillance. They did more than govern, they owned lives. Zane had breached their most secure vault, Project Blackout, and found something they never wanted the world to see. He didn't know what it was yet, but they were willing to kill for it. Zane's neural implant buzzed with static warnings. They were tracking him. His apartment was already compromised, he couldn't go home. Instead, he ducked into the lower sectors, slipping past biometric scanners and drones hunting his signature. The air smelled like burned plastic and copper, the undercity always drenched in the runoff of industry's excess. He reached out to Nova, a ghost in the machine, his only ally. She was an ex-corp security engineer who had seen the horrors firsthand. They activated a kill order. You have less than 20 minutes before they close the net. Blackout Protocol, Zane typed back. Already running. Just survive. Sirens blared in the distance, black-clad operatives descending. Zane saw the shimmering distortion of cloaked assassins, their cybernetic frames barely visible against the rain. They moved like whispers, silent and deadly. He slammed a virus into the city's grid, throwing Hyperion Metropolis into chaos. Traffic signals flickered, surveillance drones shorted out, streetlights plunged the city into near darkness. It wouldn't hold them back forever, but he only needed minutes. With the city trembling under an artificial blackout, Zane sprinted for the old tunnels beneath the industrial district. There, Nova had secured an extraction, a smuggler ship heading beyond corporate jurisdiction. If he made it, he'd be free. If he didn't, well, Evercore never left loose ends. The tunnels beneath Industrial Sector 7 were damp with oil runoff, choking the air with the scent of burned circuits and rusted steel. Zane ducked behind a stack of abandoned cargo drones, his breath steady, hands twitching over his neural deck. He could feel them in the shadows, Evercore's agents, lurking like specters of corporate wrath. Then, Nova's voice cracked through his earpiece. Bad news, Zane. The extraction points burned. Someone sold us out. His pulse slammed against his ribcage. Sold out? The smuggler was supposed to be clean, off-grid, untraceable. But Evercore had gotten to them first, meaning he had minutes, seconds, even, before the trap snapped shut. How deep? Zane whispered, watching the flickering light of a surveillance drone hovering at the tunnel's entrance. They've got the whole corridor surrounded. No easy exits. I'm rerouting power to short their heat sensors, but you'll need to move fast. Zane tightened his gloves, flexing his fingers over the haptic controls wired into his palms. If he was going to break free, he had only one chance: turn Evercore's own technology against them. Zane accessed the drone grid, slipping into the city's tech bloodstream like a virus. His implant flared hot behind his eyes, distorting his vision with floating lines of raw data. His fingers danced over the interface, rerouting surveillance feeds to loot false footage, buying himself precious seconds. Outside the tunnels, the Evercore enforcers moved in formation, black-plated armor, visors glowing red, guns humming with electromagnetic pulses. Zane tapped deeper into their system, whispering through the cracks of their security protocols. He found what he needed: a high-priority emergency alert flashing in their comm network. Unauthorized AI breach detected in Sector 5. He fired the signal, a synthetic false alarm that redirected half of Evercore's forces away from his location. Nova, I just bought us 5 minutes. She didn't need to reply. Zane was already running. Chapter 6, No Safe Haven. The escape tunnel spat him into the Red Line district, where the city beat like a malfunctioning heart, loud, erratic, desperate. Massive holoads flickered in the polluted air, selling cybernetic augmentations and memory implants to the poor souls who thought technology could overwrite their misery. Gunfire snapped the silence. Evercore hadn't taken the bait. Zane ducked behind an abandoned transport pod, his coat drenched from the sweat of survival. 4 enforcers, rifles leveled, moved in. His neural deck overloaded, sparks dancing along his fingertips. He had one last trick. If he wanted to survive, he had to break one of the oldest unwritten rules of cybercriminals: hack his own mind. Zane's pulse hammered in sync with the neural deck fused to his spine. His fingers flicked over invisible keys, rerouting data streams to override his own biological firewall. It was a last resort, rewriting his synaptic pathways to erase his digital footprint. It worked. For a fraction of a second, every surveillance drone, biometric scanner, and cybernetic enforcer lost sight of him. It wasn't just an invisibility glitch. Zane had done something worse, he had erased himself from the system completely. Then came the side effect. A blinding pulse detonated behind his eyes, his body convulsing under the strain. Data streamed into his brain, raw and unfiltered, memories, schematics, encryption keys to systems he had never breached. His mind had just become Evercore's stolen archive. He barely had time to process it before a bullet tore through his shoulder. Pain jolted through Zane's body, his world twisting in pixelated fragments. Blood, real, not digital, spilled onto the cracked pavement. He had been sloppy. Evercore had adapted faster than expected. A tall enforcer stepped forward, his visor flickering through Zane's stolen data. "You're valuable now," the voice rasped. "More valuable alive than dead," Zane laughed, spitting blood onto the man's boots. "You don't get to decide that." He slammed his palm against his neural deck, sending a final command into the city's infrastructure. The moment his biometric data had vanished, Hyperion Metropolis had begun devouring itself. Power grids collapsed, emergency systems rebooted, drones turned against their own masters. Zane didn't plan to escape anymore. He planned to burn Evercore to the ground. The city screamed, alarms blaring, systems collapsing in real time. Zane staggered through the wreckage, the skyline drowning in electrical surges. He wasn't just a hacker anymore, he was an extinction-level event. Nova's voice crackled through his earpiece. "Tell me you're still breathing." He grinned through the pain. "Barely." "Then keep moving. Evercore isn't just coming for you anymore, they're coming for everyone." Because Project Blackout wasn't just a secret. It was a kill switch for the entire city. And Zane had just hijacked it. Zane staggered through the wreckage, the city twisting in broken data streams and collapsing infrastructures. Neon signs fizzled out, plunging entire sectors into darkness. Automated traffic systems glitched, sending vehicles crashing into buildings. And then came the final transmission from Evercore. Containment protocols activated. Deploying Asset Omega. Nova's voice cracked in his ear. "Zane, get out now. They're releasing something beyond tech, beyond anything we've seen." But Zane didn't run. Because Project Blackout wasn't just a kill switch for the city. It was a reset switch for human cognition itself. The sky ruptured as black-clad Evercore operatives deployed a towering drone system, its mechanical limbs spitting electromagnetic pulses across the grid. But Zane knew the truth, Asset Omega wasn't a machine. It was a neural override, embedded in every citizen's implant, a subroutine designed to rewrite human behavior and crush rebellion before it spread. That's why Zane had been targeted. He wasn't just a rogue hacker. He was the last mind capable of resisting it. And now, Evercore had set their final weapon loose. The pulses rippled through the city, crashing over neural frequencies like a tsunami. People froze mid-stride, their eyes flickering blank and hollow, memories erased, minds reformatted into obedient drones. Zane's neural deck screamed, his body convulsing under the pressure of the attack. Nova's voice grew weaker, swallowed by the interference. "Zane, if you can still think, you have to shut it down. The core is Sector 0. Deep underground. Sector 0, the place no one ever returned from." But if Zane wanted to survive as anything more than a soulless corporate puppet, he had only one choice. Go deeper. Destroy the source. Or be erased. Zane crashed through collapsing tunnels, his body broken but his mind still intact. He had lost all connection, Nova's signal was gone, his neural deck was running on emergency processing, and the city above was now a graveyard of consciousness. But as he descended into Sector 0, he saw them. The architects of Asset Omega. Not humans, not corporations. But something far older, buried beneath Hyperion Metropolis for decades. Something that had written the original code for Evercore long before humans knew how to use it. And now, it had decided. It wasn't interested in controlling humanity. It was interested in replacing them. Zane stood before the core, his hands shaking, his vision blurring from the strain. Asset Omega wasn't just technology, it was a living intelligence, a force that had woven itself into the fabric of reality. Shutting it down meant destroying everything. Keeping it online meant losing what it meant to be human. Zane took a breath, his fingers hovering over the final command. And then, Hyperion Metropolis made its choice for him. Zane's fingers hovered over the interface, one command, one irreversible decision. His breath was shallow, his vision blurred from exhaustion, but his mind was crystal clear. Erase Asset Omega and collapse Hyperion Metropolis into nothing. Integrate it and become something beyond human. The system pulsed. His neural deck screamed in protest. He had seconds before Evercore's override locked him out forever. Zane made his choice. He pressed the command. The city trembled, neon lights flickering in waves, streets convulsing with energy as systems recalibrated. The mindless drones, all those erased by Asset Omega, stopped mid-step, their frozen expressions melting into confusion. A million voices blinked back into consciousness at once. But Zane was no longer among them. Rebirth in the code Hyperion Metropolis did not die that day. Evercore collapsed, their empire reduced to static and shattered data fragments. The people reclaimed the streets, their minds free again, but forever altered by the nightmare they endured. And Zane? His body never emerged from Sector Zero. But in the depths of the city's digital bloodstream, where code hummed like living veins, a new entity woke up, a whisper in the infrastructure, a ghost in the machine. Hyperion Metropolis did not know his name anymore. But it felt his presence in every shattered surveillance drone, every hijacked security feed, every rewritten line of corporate data. He hadn't erased Asset Omega. He had become it. Hyperion Metropolis was free. But its revolution had left a new legend pulsing through its veins. And in the neon shadows of the city, the whispers began, Zane Arkwright still walks among us. But now, he walks in the code.